You've definitely heard the term blockchain, right? It's everywhere. But for a lot of us, it still sounds, I don't know, pretty complex. Maybe a bit intimidating even. But, hey, you're listening to The Deep Dive, so you're clearly curious. Our goal today, let's really get under the hood. Go beyond the buzzwords, demystify it for you. We want you to see not just what it is, but why its ideas are actually pretty game-changing. Expect some real aha moments here.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're going to try to unpack what blockchain really is, how it functions day to day, and maybe most importantly, why it actually has the potential to reshape so many things, all, without the heavy jargon. Think of it as a clear guide through a really revolutionary idea.
Okay, so let's start with maybe an analogy. Our sources had a great one that simplifies it nicely. Imagine like a digital notebook, a ledger, basically. But it's one that everyone in your neighborhood can write in. Here's the kicker, though. Once something's written, nobody, not even the person who wrote it, can erase it or change it.
Right.
And every single time someone adds a new line, adds an entry, everyone else sees it instantly. They get an updated copy. So you can't mess with the past, and crucially, everyone agrees on what's actually been recorded.
Yeah, and what's really cool is that this neighborhood notebook, it's not just a handy metaphor. It's pretty much fundamentally how blockchain works. At its heart, blockchain is exactly that, a shared digital ledger. It permanently records transactions, who sent money to who, maybe who owns a specific digital item. And it does this in a way that's completely open for everyone involved to check and verify. It's really about building trust, but not through, say, a bank or a central company. It builds trust through transparency and distributed agreement.
That analogy really helps lock it in. But, okay, for listeners who know the term, you hear block and chain. Those specific words can still be a bit fuzzy. Can we break down what they literally mean in this digital notebook context?
Yeah, good question. So think of the block as basically one page in that shared notebook. It's just a batch of recent transactions that are all grouped together. Makes sense.
Okay, yeah. Like a page of entries.
Exactly. And once that page, that block is full of transactions, it gets sort of sealed, and then it's added to this continuous chronological sequence of all the previous blocks, all the previous pages. That sequence, that unbroken line of pages, that's the chain. Each new block is permanently mathematically linked to the one right before it.
Right, okay. So we have this shared digital notebook. Everyone sees it. It can't be changed once written. But the real magic, and this is what our sources kept emphasizing, is how it stays so secure and trustworthy, especially without, a central boss watching over everything. How does that actually work?
Well, this is where you see the truly disruptive potential, I think. It really comes down to three core ideas, three mechanisms working together. First, it's built on consensus. Like you said, everyone sees the same thing. Copies of this ledger, this notebook, exist across potentially thousands, even millions of computers around the world. So if someone tries to cheat the system, maybe fake a transaction, change an old entry on their copy,
The network notices.
instantly. The network sees the mismatch because their version won't line up with everyone else's, and that fake entry, it just gets ignored, rejected by the network.
So it's like having thousands of independent accountants all checking the same books at the same time.
That's a great way to think about it, yeah. Distributed verification. Second, once data is in a block and added to the chain, it's practically immutable, unchangeable. Each new block connects to the previous one using a unique digital fingerprint. It's called a hash. And this hash isn't just a serial number. It's a cryptographic summary of all the data in that block. So if you try to change even one tiny detail in an old block,
The fingerprint changes.
completely, the hash changes entirely, and that instantly breaks the chain's integrity. The link is severed, mathematically speaking. It's like trying to swap a page in a securely bound book without anyone noticing. The binding just won't line up anymore.
Okay, and the third point you mentioned, no single boss. This feels like the really big shift from how things usually work.
Exactly. This is decentralization. There's no central company in charge, no single government controlling it, no specific authority figure. The rules of how the whole system operates are actually embedded directly into the software code itself. And the network runs based on the collective agreement and participation of everyone involved. It's this resilience, this lack of a single point of failure or control that makes it so robust and, frankly, so interesting.
So, okay, let's connect the dots then. Thinking about the real world, what does this actually mean for us, for industries? Why should you, listening now, really care about this?
Well, if you zoom out, the big potential here is solving problems of trust and transparency in a new way. Think about sending money internationally. Right now, you rely on banks, intermediaries. It can be slow, expensive.
Definitely, lots of fees.
Right. Blockchain could allow direct peer-to-peer transfers, almost instant, potentially much cheaper. It sort of bypasses those traditional middlemen entirely. That could fundamentally change finance. Or think about supply chains. Imagine tracking a product, say coffee beans, from the farm through every step, right to your cup, all verified on an unchangeable ledger. You could prove authenticity, ethical sourcing, without just having to trust one company's claims.
Wow. So it's not just about efficiency, it's about verifiable truth almost.
Exactly. It's a potential paradigm shift in how we establish and maintain trust, especially in an increasingly digital world.
It really is mind-bending when you think about all the possibilities. People talk about it changing everything, from music royalties for artists to supply chain tracking, like you said, even potentially securing voting systems someday. That core idea moving from trust in a central entity to trust in a distributed, verifiable system that feels huge. So yeah, next time you hear someone mention blockchain, hopefully you can just picture that shared neighborhood notebook. Locked, permanent, totally transparent.
hmm And maybe a final thought to leave you with. If a system like this can build inherent trust using just technology, code, and distributed agreement without needing a central authority figure, what does that really imply about how much we rely on traditional intermediaries, banks, governments, companies in our daily lives right now? And maybe more excitingly, what other areas of life could this decentralized approach fundamentally reshape? Where else do we need better trust? Makes you think, doesn't it?